This video was shot on March the 22nd in my classroom. It's a practice day. My students were practicing some of the presentations that they were hoping to give for their final project in the Shakespeare unit. And several days later, they actually presented some of these to their classmates and also some school administrators. This is their first day practicing their sonnets and their scenes and their presentations, so they are far from perfect, but they gave me permission to go ahead and share this with Dr. Mills at OCU so that you could see what goes on in our classroom sometimes. Thank you.
In disgrace, misfortune in men's eyes, I, all alone, beweep my outcast state. In troubled as heaven, in my boastless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate. Wishing me like one more too rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed. Desiring this man's art in that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented please. Happily, I think upon my I messed up. And with these thoughts, I found myself almost despising from sullen Ursine's hymns at heaven's gate. Oh, for thy sweet love remembered, such gulf brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. That's it.
Can't really see it because it's down here, but I did Act 3, Scene 4. And for my two characters, they were like the main ones in my scene. There were little minor characters, but they said like one line. So I did Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and Macbeth's three like big things are his bravery, his ambition, and his self-doubt. He's an evil type of person, but he also has weaknesses. Like when he's about to commit the murders, he wants to back out because he gets like afraid to do it, and then he ends up doing it obviously, but he had some self-doubt about doing it. When like towards the end of the play, it's like Macbeth's life came to like full circle because most of his life he was on the battlefield, and then he ended up going down in combat when the English army came. And then Lady Macbeth, she is the one planning most of the murders. She's kind of like the conniving, evil, manipulating person. She's the one that convinces Macbeth to do all the murders, and when he starts to try and back down, she questions his manhood and is like, if you really want this, you're gonna have to murder them. And like at the end of the play, it's not my scene, but she ends up killing herself due to the guilt from the murders. And then I kind of summarized my scene. So in the beginning of it, the first murderer comes and he's talking to Macbeth, and he informs him that Banquo is dead and his murderer has escaped. And then while eating dinner, Macbeth ends up seeing the ghost of Banquo, and they have guests over, but Macbeth is just carrying on this conversation with the ghost, and Lady Macbeth has to kind of cover for him and be like, he has visions, and he like talks to them to make him not seem as crazy. And then Macbeth he begins muttering blood, I forget what this is, I keep messing it up. Blood will have blood, and he's kind of beginning to worry that he will shed blood and he's going to be hurt because of his involvement in the murder of Banquo, which was his best friend. And then for my history and connections, I kind of struggled with like how to connect this to nowadays, but it's kind of like I went with their mental state of it, like Macbeth, he was kind of like starting to lose it a little bit towards the end, and he was seeing ghosts. And then Lady Macbeth, she really lost it. She ended up committing suicide because of her guilt, and she kept seeing the blood on her hands. It kind of looks like I have blood on my hands right now because it's a marker. She was thinking she was seeing blood on her hands, so she was having like nightmares about it almost, and she ended up killing herself over it. So I kind of connected to that, like they didn't have any help back then to like help them get through those rough patches and like mental problems. So they didn't really have like mental health care stuff like we do now. That's kind of how I connected the two.
From the stars do I my judgment pluck, yet methinks I know astronomy. But not to tell of good or evil luck, or minute's brief fortune, to tell of plagues, of dearths, and season's quality. Season's quality. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Pointing out his thunder, rain, and wind.
That you wear yourself a love.